Welcome to another episode of GQ Speaks, your go-to platform for insightful conversations, captivating stories, and thought-provoking discussions. GQ is a series of experiences, and we're just making sense of that as we go along. That is what we're doing here, one conversation at a time. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into our episode.
So the way we're going to do this is nothing too formal. It's just going to be a conversation. I can guide you through it. But the way I wanted to start was like the both of you give a small introduction about yourself. Obviously include the part like, you guys studied at the Qatar campus and what year did you transfer and like what program are you doing now in DC? Because I know I don't know if you're continuing on with the same thing or have we changed it. So yeah, I just want a quick introduction from both of you.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Terry. I am currently a senior in Georgetown's School of Foreign Service. I started my undergraduate career in the Qatar campus of Georgetown. I transferred after my sophomore year. I believe it's 2024. And now I am pursuing international economics here in the SFS, along with a minor in mathematics and actually two minors, one in mathematics, the other one is global development studies.
I also transferred in my sophomore year, so 2024. I was actually originally on international politics, so I changed my school. I switched to college. And now my major is government, and then I'm doing the minor in econ.
Okay, so starting off, the most obvious question, why did you guys, for the both of you, decided to take that step of coming to the Qatar campus, but then 2 years in, you decided maybe DC is a better option? Why? What was the reason? What was the main factor between the both of you deciding that you wanted to finish your degree in DC and not here in Doha?
For me, one of the biggest parts is the OPT. I could actually get to work in the US. I would say two main reasons. One, like academic stuff. You just have like more stuff physically to choose from. There's more classes, which I like a lot. Then also the environment change was a good thing no matter what. For me, the OPT is a big part.
I think Levan makes this point, and I would also like to add to that because I think Georgetown and Qatar, the campus focus on Middle East a lot, right? No matter what major you're pursuing, whether it's IPO, Eco, Culp, or history, they're establishing the STIA major this fall. But I think the emphasis of these majors are very Middle East focused, which is really good if you're interested in the Middle East and you really want to make some impact and you want to develop yourself in the region in the future. But for me, I think one of the biggest reasons I transferred is because I think the Qatar campus does not have a lot of quantitative classes, for example, like math classes, statistics, or computer science. I know we can cross-register at Carnegie Mellon, but we're only allowed to do it starting from sophomore year, and we have certain limits to that as well. So I made my decision to transfer because I added a math minor after I transferred to DC. That's like a major reason that I make my decision.
Okay. So, I mean, now it's been more than a year since you guys have made that shift and transfer, but I want to go back to your first semester because I know that when you guys fully transferred, there were still 50 other GFU students who were there doing their semester abroad and people from the same batch. How has the transition been, right? From knowing that all of your friends that you came with in DC are going to go back in December. And then the next spring semester, there were only 3 more students from Doha that went to DC. So how was the transition, like both academically, but also socially? It's completely different environment and you guys are there to stay. Like you have to stay up until 2026.
I feel like having the transfer class was like helped with the transition. So you don't have to like say goodbye to GQ altogether because our friends were still there. Shout out to Maha and Mohammed. But like the first semester, I think Terry will agree with me. The first thing that you immediately notice is there's a huge difference in dorms. Dorms here are not perfect by any means. The cafeteria and like the facilities are not perfect. And only you might see some rats eating at meals or but yeah, that's one huge difference. Like the living situation is a big change. Other than that, I feel like the environment is just way more fast paced. There's a lot more stuff because it's a small campus compared to other like schools or 10,000 people. But there's a lot of stuff happening on the campus like at the same time. So you get used to like the higher pace.
Yeah, I would agree on that. Compared to the Doha campus, the DC campus is way larger and things work in a completely different here. Like I remember because I was getting used to like how we engage with professors and like Dean in Doha, right? I could just walk to Dean Moot's office, knock on his door, and just walk in anytime I want. But when I did this in DC for the first time, it was Dean Kaneda. Actually, he was my academic dean after I transferred here, and he just told me like, Terry, like I know like you've been in Doha for 2 years, but like this is now how it works here. You need to go to my Google Calendar. You need to make an appointment, and you need to confirm with me. And I check his Google Calendar. He's only available like 2 weeks from the. He's only available like after 2 weeks. So I think that both of us, probably Levan as well, like we were getting used to the how things work in Doha, and it took a while for us to kind of transition from the Middle East, way of living to the main campus. And I think the other part of social life is so here it's like you got like a lot of opportunities to meet with different people, like all kinds of people. Like we got undergraduates here, we got graduates here, we even have PhD students here. So when I was taking my econ classes, I communicated with my TAs a lot. They're all like PhD candidate in the economic departments. So I think I talked to a lot of people and I actively engaged with a lot of people to kind of understand their perspectives and their experience in DC. I think it is also important because when you kind of open yourself and know a lot more things happening in the main campus, you would also be more adaptable to things happening around you.
Yeah, and one more thing, like one more big difference. People are insane here about clubs. I well, to be honest, I haven't really engaged that much with that. Like I'm only in like two clubs, but it's like a huge thing here. Like people establish their friend groups, their social stuff, what they do, like a lot of things through clubs. Which we also have clubs in GQ, and like I like the clubs at GQ, but it's kind of different here in a way that it's fully immersive.
Yeah, yeah. So I think here in DC, this is also very different from Doha. A lot of students came to Georgetown because they know what they want to do. They knew what they want to do before they came here. Once they came to Georgetown, the moment they became a college student, they started to network, they started to establish their career path. And the environment in DC is very professional oriented. We have like consulting clubs who are, a great fit for people who want to be consultant, who want to work for like these management consulting firms after they graduate. We also have like finance club, like law club, that are available for students who want to step into finance or want to be a lawyer in the future. So the students here, they're more professionally oriented, and the career guidance here is also kind of early from my perspective because a lot of people, I remember like, because we came as juniors, right? When we came, we met a lot of like sophomore and even freshmen. They're thinking about their future. They're trying to navigate their career. This is very different from Doha because I think in Doha, people still spend a lot of time exploring what I'm interested in and what I want to dedicate my lifetime to do something to do. Right? This is quite different.
Yeah, I agree with that because this is one of the things that I noticed when I went on the semester abroad. I would interact with freshmen and sophomores who already they have their full CVs ready and they're already thinking about, I want to intern at that company or they're like, the only time I've noticed here in Doha is like when kids start wondering about these things is late junior year or start of senior year where they decide, okay, this is the field I'm trying to break into. So I agree. That was a big difference I saw. But I want to ask, do you think there is a massive difference in academic rigor when it comes to the classes here in Doha versus comparison in DC? Because now this comes from, I know it's very subjective. Like personally for me, when I went to DC, the classes I took, they were all IPOL classes. and the level of difficulty in those classes were more or less similar to my classes here in Doha. The class size was still the same, the structure was still the same, the expectations for classes were. But when I talk to econ students, they have a completely different perspective about it. So I wanted to ask about your experiences. Do you think academic in general in DC is more tough in comparison to your experience in Doha?
I think Gary's going to have the more nuanced answer here because he's taking more like I agree with you, Ali. I think it depends on the school and your major. I'm doing government and an econ minor, so I like my experience so far, like my 2 years, I've had like super easy classes. I've had all types of classes. I've had like 2 or 3 like really hard ones. I will say that the econ classes here are tougher, but mine haven't been like that much harder. But there is more variety here.
Right. So I think one of the biggest difference in terms of curricular is basically you have way many more options in DC because it's a bigger campus. We have a lot more professors compared to Doha. This means that you can pick whatever classes you want to take besides the core classes. So if you want to challenge yourself, go for it. We have plenty of 400 level econ classes that are very difficult and challenging. For example, game theory, industrial organization, causal inference, basically the upper level of econometrics. The class used to call it advanced econometrics, and the professor changed the name of it because he thinks the name scares a lot of students. So for me, like I took the class because I really want to challenge myself and I want to kind of enhance my quantitative and modeling skills. It was a very, very tough class. Like the average is like 64, I think. And I think if we get like a 71 or 2, you got an A basically. Besides the core requirements, like besides these core econ classes you have to take, intermediate, micro, macro, stats, and intro to econometrics, you have your options here. If you want an easy college experience, go for the easy classes. They're all like easy A classes. But if you want to learn something, you want to challenge yourself a bit. And I know a lot of econ major students here, they want to pursue a PhD in the future. So you need these challenging courses to enhance your level of expertise and on your transcript. And you got to tell PhD committee that, okay, I am capable of handling PhD level econ because I got like outstanding grades in these very tough classes in college. So I think it's all about options, right? You can pick hard classes, you can pick easy classes. In terms of the core classes here, I would say like these econ core requirements classes, it is hard. Like everybody in DC campus, like they all know it is hard and they're ready to suffer before they take it. I didn't take them in Qatar, so I couldn't speak for that. But I do think econ related core requirements are challenging. And students know that. It's not a secret. Everybody knows that before they take it. So the higher the level, it's going to be harder, right? Like we got 100 level, 200 level, 300 level, and 400 level. So 400 level classes are always the most challenging one. So for IECO, like econ class at 400 level, I think if you're an IECO major, you only need to take one 400 level class, but you can take as many as you want if you want to challenge yourself. So I take 2 and they're very challenging courses. I spend significant amount of time, working on them last semester. So eventually I think it's all about options.
So what is one thing that you guys have experienced in DC that looking back at your time in Doha, you wish like, okay, this is something that you have over there that you hope like one day Doha could implement as well? It could be anything. It could be like academic, it could be facilities, it could be the campus culture. Has there anything striking that you've noticed that is in DC, but we here in Doha we're lacking from? Or let me flip the question. What was one thing you experienced in Doha or in the Qatar campus that you wish you could have had in DC? I know dorms is probably the most common answer, like dorms, but outside of that, like when you look at the campus, when you look at
I would say the like the SGA, the student lounge, like the services that you get like from uni are way better in Qatar. I mean, it's smaller scale, but like here they don't care about you that as much. Like for example, if you're living in the dorms, you have RAs. If you need something that's so just like the basics stuff you want to get in Qatar. If you I don't know, want to organize something, want to do something, like you get more support. I would say. Yeah, I don't know. I can't think. There's no music room in DC, which sucks. There's like a music studio, but they barely have a
Oh, well, you're actually missing out because like this semester we upgraded our music studio. So we got electric guitars and we have a drum set. Finally, we have an electric drum set and we have screener. They didn't make the president then, so
So I would say, because I know like there is a career center in GUQ right now, right, led by Kirsten.
yeah.
Yeah. So when we were in Doha, like it's not established. In our first 2 years at Qatar, I think we barely have any career advice. We're just basically taking classes, and like we do not have someone like just to kind of instruct us what are we gonna do in the future. So I think this might be a point that reminds me of your question, but I know like you guys have it right now, and I think like people are doing a fantastic job in career like aspects.
Since you guys have left, the career center has been completely revamped. I don't know if you were there when we get our weekly career services bulletin where they handpick internships and jobs in Doha and send you the link on how to apply to them. We have that, and we've introduced this new thing where each batch they have like a mentor for the entire batch. So Kirsten also serves as the senior mentor. So there's just so much more access seniors have with Kirsten. You can book office hours with her and she can look over your CV. So I think, yeah, that's definitely something that I think this year or like last year, it got really, really career services here is like it's much, much better than probably what you guys are.
I think this is really important because I think if QQ established like a career center, it's going to work way more efficient than the one here in DC because we got so many students here, undergraduates, graduates, PhDs. This is the campus of 10,000 people, right? And we only got one career center. In Doha, if they establish it, it's going to be great because we only have 100 students per cohort. The career center can help all the students navigate their career. I think it's fantastic. It's definitely good for the students.
Yeah. So I just wanted to ask, I know it's been a long time since you guys have been back here in Doha, but have you stayed in touch with your friends or any professor? Do you still feel you have a connection to this place?
Absolutely. I was working with the SFI's global experience team. So I was basically coordinating all these logistics for study abroad students from Doha. So I met these exchange students every once in a while in the semester. And I also talked to Dean Hill every once in a while. And by the way, I emailed Mood for multiple times and he never replied my email. So when you see him next time, just tell him that check his email, okay? And yeah, I still stay in touch with a lot of friends in Qatar, and we talked a lot about their future, what they want to do, and I think we're all like, I'm very happy to see that they stay on the right track as well. I think a couple of them are going to have a very great graduate like programs after they graduate. So yeah.
I mean, both of you are still, at least amongst our batch, like everyone still remembers, like, okay, Terry, Levan, and you're really surprised. You guys do come up a lot in our conversations. It's like I remember, especially with Levan, whenever there's a class, we go and we see like, okay, a new class is being introduced. We just go like, oh, Levan would have loved this class because we have a lot of classes now which are on like space. And I remember me and Levan was just obsessed with classes around space and all that.
I heard about that class.
Yeah. So I think that's probably the best part about this campus, even though it's been more than a year since you've left, because we are such a small community. Like everyone remembers, like, okay, there was a Georgian and Chinese international student who left us to go to the main campus. But so overall, like on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you with the decision that you guys made?
Well, I think it's hard to pick a number because in some ways I'm very happy. In some ways, I wouldn't say regret, but I miss a lot of aspects from GQ. I don't know. Overall, I would say like 8, 9 maybe, because the positive stuff that you get here is really good. Right now, it's like a 3 because it's minus 20 degrees outside. My stairs are frozen in front of my mat floor. And if for me to get out, I have to climb up because it's frozen. Oh yeah, right now it's a fire. It's terrible.
Yeah. So for me, it's hard to say because I think the 2 years at Doha, teaches me a lot, and like it's a very fulfilling 2 years from my perspective. I was born and raised in China and never went to the Middle East before I came to Qatar campus. I met a lot of students. The student body in GUQ is fantastic. The Qatar campus is a very diverse campus with students from everywhere across the globe. This is very different from DC. The diversity in DC isn't as good as Doha. Like the student body here on main campus, Levan, you know that as well, right? Most of them are basically like American people. But the international student body here is way too little compared to Doha. Doha is a very diverse one, and you met people from everywhere across the globe. And you talk to them, you learn about their culture, you learn about their, history and what they're going to do in their future and how they perceive a lot of things happening around the world. I think it's just fantastic. The Middle East region in general, the Gulf, is developing in an astonishing steps. There are a lot of international events happening. I think a lot of GUT students go to the Lab Summit. Is it happening in Doha right now? Yeah, and we have the World Cup, we have the F1 tournament. So the 2 years in the Middle East is fantastic for me. When I made my decision to transfer, it's not an easy decision to make. A lot of people in Doha probably think that it's a very easy decision for me, but it's actually not. Coming to a completely different campus, knowing like no one, and just restart your college life from the ground it's not enjoyable at all. It takes time to come through this. But in terms of opportunity, I think Levan is right. In DC, we probably have more opportunities in career opportunities after we graduate, because in the States, I think we get more options than the Middle East. But considering what's happening right now in the States and the political status in the United States, like everything is unpredictable and the market is also really bad. So I think when we transferred, we didn't expect that. And of course, we couldn't expect that because you cannot predict what's happening in the future, right? So we're basically we're looking for something. We're trying to find something after we graduate, but the kind of challenge and it's tough, very tough. If I stay in Doha, we wouldn't even have to experience all these stuff, right? So I think it's a double-edged sword. And I think you get different outcomes for different decisions, right?
And if I had American citizenship, because I do want to work in the US, there's a good chance I would not have transferred. The OPT, just the fact that you can get work here, is such a big part of why I transferred. Retrospect now, if I was American, I definitely would not have transferred because, like Tarek said, for internationals, things are getting really, really bad here. And they seem to be getting worse. But that's all in retrospect. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there was no way you guys could have predicted what's going to happen. Because, I mean, I think this was also because all of us went together to DC and we were there when the elections happened. And once we came back to Doha, yeah, when all hell broke loose. I mean, I'm pretty sure the America now is much different than the America I experienced. I was there at the start of it. It was the elections. I left before Trump got inaugurated, before a lot of the new policies regarding immigration or work permits came into effect. Obviously, there was no way you guys could have predicted that. But I wanted to ask now, after experiencing all of this, keeping in mind the current situation, what would you say to any GUQ student who is considering the same step that you guys took, that wants to completely transfer to the main campus? What advice would you give to them?
I would say that if they're not set on either working in the US or establishing themselves in the US for at least some period, then it may not be worth it. If they do want to work here, get in touch with networks here, establish things here, then yeah, I think that's the main decider. Just purely for academic differences and other stuff, it's individual, so it's of course up to the person. For me, if I didn't have the OPT, would probably not have transferred.
Right. So I think the other thing is, I think you really have to know what you want to do, and you have to be very clear and very, very determined, because like we said in previous conversation, like a lot of students, they started planning their career starting from their sophomore year. So in DC, like people usually they look for internship in their junior summer, right? And they intern at the firm, and if they did well, the firm will give them a return offer, so they would be able to join the firm after they graduate, after they finish the senior year. So for me, I came as a junior, and when I came here, I have to start preparing all these internship applications. And at the same time, I did not have enough classes. For example, if you're looking for an econ internship, you have to take courses like statistics and econometrics, right? But I didn't, because I came as a junior, so I didn't take it as a sophomore. So I am not eligible to apply for these internships in the junior year summer. So I have to apply to full-time positions without these internship experiences. This would put me at a huge disadvantage compared to students in DC from the beginning, right? So I think if they want to pursue like transfer, they have to be very, very clear and very, very determined to what they want to do, because there's no coming back and there's no turning back as well. Like you can't be like, okay, I want to be a consultant, and I came and I transferred and I went to DC and all of a sudden I want to do finance. That's not going to happen, because for these banks and these financial institutions, they hired people starting from sophomore years. So it's actually quite tough. I know it's very hard for college undergrads to think about to think about their future career as like a first year student or second year student, but unfortunately, like this is how it is working right now in the United States. And a lot of companies, they're having like freshmen like exposure, like career, all these like platforms for like freshmen to expose themselves to career jobs. So things are getting earlier and earlier and earlier. And personally, I'm not a fan of that. I think like you have to study something, you have to commit yourself to learn something in college, right? Like looking for a job is only part of your college life. But now things are like completely in another way. Like freshmen started recruiting right after they come to college, which is, from my perspective, like it's insane. It's just insane. So when people in DC have already talked to a lot of people, they have connections in certain firms. You just came from the Middle East and you barely know anyone. You have to reach out to people. You have to email them. You have to schedule a coffee chat with them. It takes a lot of time and a lot of energy as well. So for people in DC, they're doing this as a sophomore. They started probably in freshman year. But when we came, we were doing this as a junior. So we're like way, way, way lagging behind compared with people here. This is a huge disadvantage. And if you made your mind to transfer, you have to live with it. There's no way you would be able to compensate your loss, right?
Yeah. One last question for both of you is, when you introduce yourself now, whether it's for a class or meeting someone new, do you still use that, hi, I transferred from Georgetown, Qatar? Or when was that when you were like, okay, I need to stop saying the Georgetown, Qatar part?
Oh, I always introduced myself as like, I always tell people that I spent my first 2 years in Doha. And most of the people here are like, oh, that's amazing. Like, I've never been there. Can you tell me something? Can you tell me about that campus? And I think London is studying abroad in Doha this semester, right? Yeah. I met her in the laundry room in Arupe. Arupe is a dorm on campus. And like, yeah, we're in the same building. Yeah, and we were like using the same like washing machine or something, and like she asked me like, "What's her name? Where from?" Like, I actually just came from the Middle East campus. That's the reason like we never met before in Doha. And he's like, "Oh, that's actually like amazing." And we had a talk, and then we became friends. And then she's studying abroad in Doha this semester, right? So I never think that it's something you should hide. I'm always very open to that. And I think more and more people on main campus are interested in Doha right now, because I think GUQ has done a fantastic job in kind of expanding the curriculum. I know we have STIA right now, we have Arabic program right now. There might be a graduate program in Qatar as well. So people are quite interested in the Qatar campus. Because I think for Qatar campus, SFS is the only college that has presence in Doha, right? If you talk to people in the business school or in the College of Art and Science, they would probably be like, oh, okay, I didn't know it. Because it's kind of irrelevant to their program since they're not in the school foreign service.
Yeah. And also, like, I feel like over the past year or 2 years, there's just been so many more programming between two campuses. Obviously, like, they've increased the amount of students that can go to DC. Last semester, I went to Mauritius with a class, and half of our kids were from the DC campus. And like right now, in 2 weeks, I'm going to go to South Africa, and then there are like 13 kids coming from DC. We have like, I think, programming, and then we have the alternative spring break. We're hosting 15 kids. all across Georgetown, not just in the SFS that are going to come here. So I feel like that's also one of the things, like programming has increased so much between two campuses that there is far more visibility. You know, even people outside of the SFS that might have heard that, okay, there is a campus that Georgetown has in Qatar. So do any of you have any last final messages for our audience here in Qatar who's going to listen to this? It could be to a friend, it could be to a professor, it could be to the wider community.
Oh, Ali, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
As someone who was here for an exchange, do you miss it?
100%, 100%. I feel like my experience, I can't compare my experience to the experience you guys had and they're still going through, because I knew that I was going to be out in 6 months, right? So it was essentially a nice long vacation in the US, which was kind of like a study abroad. But I think every student from Georgetown, Qatar, who goes on a semester abroad is like, you know, I actually fell in love with the place. I think it was great. I met some very, very cool people that I'm still in touch with. And I mean, this is just between us, but I've also applied for grad school in Georgetown for next year. And one of the biggest reasons I did that was because of my semester abroad experience. I was lucky that I got Arupe, which is one of the better dorms. And I was also lucky that I met some very, very friendly, very cool people, including Levan's old roommates, Casey and Tommy, beautiful people. But no, I absolutely loved my time in UC. I had an amazing. It was an amazing semester. Thinking about it now, I think with the current political conditions, I don't know if that experience would have been different than if I would have come like in a later semester. But I think it was the best time to be in DC.
Yeah, for me, I gotta shout out for Ali Beck. I missed him. Like we spent so much time when working on metrics and math problems. I mean, he's a great friend of mine, and I wish him all the best in Qatar and his future endeavor.
One question I forgot to ask: one professor that you took in Doha that you wish you can bring over to the DC campus. Don't say Ziani.
Okay, ooh, that's hard. Can I do a top 3?
You can do a top 3. Yeah.
I'll just do it like in no ascending order. I would do Anjana Jacob, Ian Almond, and Carl.
Yeah, well request. For me, I think it's Professor Manolis. Like he has a very, very long first name, but we all call him like Professor Manolis. He's a professor in econ. I think he teaches like intermediate macro and international finance. He's fantastic. He's so smart. Like I never met like anyone so smart than him. And the other professor, he's an adjunct. He's also from Greece. I think it's Professor Dimitriopoulos. He teaches trade lab. I think they're like co-lecturing the trade lab last semester or last year. This semester. Yeah, I really enjoyed their classes. I took classes with both of them. I took Principles of Macro and Finance, International Finance with Professor Manolis, and he's very helpful. In office hours, we talked a lot about future opportunities and research. Professor Dimitriopoulos is an expert in trade law. We chatted a lot about WTO and all these stuff. These are the two professors that I really like in Doha.
No, Professor Aguinare, I would love to teach that.
We have a Professor Morris Jackson. He is currently teaching here in Doha for Louis campus.
Yeah, that's class, right?
Yeah, I think, I don't know what he's teaching this semester, bro. We're currently having Black History Month on campus. He gave a very nice talk, like Rhythms of Resistance, and it was essentially like he spoke about jazz and African American music. That was one of the times where we were in that auditorium and we were like, "Oh, Levan would have loved this." But I'm honestly surprised that both of you did not mention Professor Kamrava. But
oh, because I never take any classes with him. That's one of my biggest regrets. Because I know he's absolutely fantastic, but I never had a chance to take any classes with him.
I think when I went to DC on my semester abroad, and especially in my IPOL classes, when I would tell someone I'm from Qatar, the most well-known professor from here was Professor Kamrava. Like students there knew he was a professor class. So I assumed that you guys would have mentioned this day.
He's busy with interviews from all major news outlets like BBC, Al Jazeera, CNN. I know he's a very impactful scholar in the field, but unfortunately, I did not have a chance to take any of his classes.
Well, I mean, we have some very good professors, so it's very difficult to get into Levan's top 3 because you have a lot of great professors that have really influenced Levan's academic journey. But thank you so much for doing this. It was lovely to not only have you on this podcast, but to like catch up with the both of you. All right. I'm going to end this here. Just watch out for our episode. Thank you so much. It was lovely talking. Bye-bye. Take care.
Take care.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of GQ Speaks. We hope you've gained valuable insights and inspirations from our conversation today. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to follow us on our Instagram page at GQ_speaks and be sure to leave a review on Spotify to show your support.